The WNBA is facing an unprecedented moment in its history, and the sports world is watching closely. In a shocking move, the league and the Players' Union have agreed to a full moratorium, halting all activity indefinitely. Practices, games, and events have been suspended, leaving fans, players, and team officials reeling. The announcement hit like a bombshell. One moment, the league was gearing up for another high-stakes season. The next, the entire system was on pause. For a league known for its speed, energy, and relentless schedule, the moratorium feels like a public funeral, signaling a level of crisis that no one saw coming. Questions are flooding in. What prompted this unprecedented halt? Was it internal conflicts, financial struggles, or a response to an off-court issue? The Players' Union insists this decision was necessary to protect the well-being of players, but the suddenness of the announcement has left fans scrambling for answers. Rumors and speculation are spreading across social media at lightning speed, with every possible scenario debated, from labor disputes to safety concerns. For players, the pause is more than just cancelled games. It's a disruption to careers, training, and mental preparation. For teams, it's a scramble to adjust operations, manage contracts, and maintain fan engagement. And for the league itself, the moratorium poses serious questions about stability and public trust. Analysts and insiders are calling this the most dramatic moment the WNBA has faced in decades, comparing the atmosphere to a sports funeral, where everything familiar is suddenly put on hold. In this video, we'll break down exactly what led to the moratorium, how players and officials are reacting, and what this could mean for the future of the league. Because when a professional sports organization reaches a point where all activity is banned, it's more than a pause, it's a signal that the entire system is at a crossroads. Fans need to understand what's happening behind the headlines, and what comes next could change women's basketball forever. The shockwave hit the WNBA like nothing anyone had anticipated. One day, teams were preparing for high-intensity practices, rookies were being integrated into lineups, and fans were planning to flock to arenas. The next, an official announcement declared that the league and the Players' Union had agreed to a full moratorium. Every game, every practice, every event was suspended indefinitely. The news spread like wildfire across social media, leaving fans, analysts, and even casual viewers scrambling to understand what had just happened. For a league built on consistency, competition, and the energy of its players, this pause was unlike anything seen before. It felt, to many, like a funeral. The activity ban wasn't just a temporary pause, it was a full stop that sent shockwaves through every corner of the sport. Inside the locker rooms, the mood was tense and confused. Players, who were in peak preparation mode, suddenly found themselves with no games, no structured workouts, and no clarity about when, or if, they would return. Veteran players, who had seen the league evolve over decades, described the feeling as surreal. The moratorium didn't just disrupt schedules, it disrupted the rhythm, focus, and emotional investment that had defined their careers. Rookies who had been counting down to their first official games suddenly faced a void, unsure how to maintain form, confidence, and momentum. Coaches scrambled to restructure training plans, often resorting to solo workouts or virtual team sessions, but the lack of official guidance left everyone navigating uncertainty. Off the court, speculation ran rampant. Analysts debated what could have prompted such an unprecedented decision. Was it internal conflicts between management and players? Financial instability? Safety concerns? Or perhaps a culmination of labor disputes that had finally reached a breaking point? Every media outlet seemed to have a theory, but concrete answers were scarce. Social media amplified the tension, as fans shared reactions ranging from shock to anger, and some even expressed fear that the league could be entering a crisis period from which it might not recover. For an organization that had prided itself on growth, visibility, and cultural impact, this sudden suspension created an air of uncertainty that no one had experienced before. League officials released statements emphasizing that the moratorium was a collaborative decision made with input from the Players' Union to prioritize safety, well-being, and fairness. They stressed that no official games or practices would resume until all parties agreed it was safe and viable. But for many players, the messaging did little to calm nerves. Questions about salaries, contracts, and team operations loomed large. Agents worked around the clock to assess implications, ensuring players would be protected financially while navigating this indefinite pause. Meanwhile, fans tried to make sense of what moratorium really meant, grappling with the idea that the league they loved could be suspended in such a sweeping way. The impact extended beyond the league itself. Sponsors, advertisers, and partners faced immediate challenges. Plans for marketing campaigns, endorsements, and game day promotions were thrown into disarray. Television networks, who had heavily invested in WNBA coverage, scrambled to fill airtime previously dedicated to live broadcasts. Each delay and cancellation had financial consequences, highlighting just how interconnected the league's operations were with the broader sports and entertainment ecosystem. This was not just a player issue, it was a league-wide disruption with ripple effects across every stakeholder. Fans took to social media in droves, expressing disbelief and frustration. Hashtags questioning the league's stability trended within hours, while speculation about behind-the-scenes conflicts ran rampant. Many voiced concerns about the long-term impact on women's basketball, wondering whether the pause could jeopardize momentum for the sport at a time when visibility had never been higher. Others expressed empathy for players, acknowledging that uncertainty can be mentally and emotionally taxing, especially for athletes whose careers depend on timing, performance, and consistency. Inside the league offices, tension was palpable. Executives worked non-stop to manage communication, negotiate with the players' union, and assess the short and long-term effects of halting activity. Every meeting emphasized risk mitigation, balancing transparency with strategic discretion, and attempting to maintain credibility in the eyes of fans and partners. Meanwhile, players had to adapt quickly, finding ways to train independently, stay connected with teammates virtually, and maintain physical and mental readiness despite the absence of official structure. As the moratorium continued, the WNBA entered uncharted territory. For a league that had grown steadily over the years, becoming a major player in professional sports, this sudden stoppage felt like a public funeral. The energy, excitement, and competition that had defined women's basketball were on hold, leaving players, fans, and officials alike to navigate a future filled with uncertainty. And as speculation mounted, one question hung in the air: how long would this moratorium last? And what would the WNBA look like when activity eventually resumed? The ripple effects of the moratorium hit the players first and hardest. Many had been in peak training mode, preparing for an intense stretch of games that would define careers and set the stage for playoffs. Suddenly, that preparation felt meaningless. Practice schedules were erased, team strategy meetings cancelled, and even informal workouts were limited by uncertainty and league restrictions. Players expressed frustration in interviews and on social media, though carefully. They didn't want to risk violating union rules or league policies during a tense period. The silence was deafening, a stark contrast to the energy they had poured into their seasons up to that point. Veterans, who had seen various disputes and delays in the league before, admitted this pause was different. It wasn't a delayed game or a shortened season, it was an indefinite moratorium. There was no timetable, no sense of when activity might resume. Some described the feeling as a funeral for the league they knew, a pause that forced them to reflect on just how fragile momentum can be in professional sports. Rookies and younger players, meanwhile, faced a different type of challenge. The uncertainty threatened their development, exposure, and even their confidence. For those trying to make an impression in a league that demands immediate performance, the moratorium was more than a pause. It was an invisible obstacle that disrupted their entire trajectory. Off the court, speculation intensified. Analysts, journalists, and sports commentators flooded social media with theories about the root cause of the moratorium. Labor disputes, disagreements over contracts, safety concerns, or behind-the-scenes conflicts became topics of endless debate. Fans shared opinions, theories, and rumors, often conflating speculation with confirmed reports. The public attention amplified the stakes, making every decision by the league and unions seem monumental. Sponsors and media partners watched closely, aware that prolonged inactivity could damage brand credibility and affect future partnerships. Every cancelled game or event became a potential headline about instability rather than competition. Despite the uncertainty, the league and players' union tried to maintain a united front. Official statements emphasized collaboration, player safety, and a commitment to returning to activity as soon as feasible. Yet, the language of moratorium and activity ban carried a weight that no reassurance could fully counter. For fans, it wasn't just about missing games. It was about the potential erosion of trust in a league that had grown steadily over decades. The WNBA had built a reputation as a professional, organized, and empowering space for women athletes. The sudden halt threatened that perception, even as officials worked to reassure the public. Players adapted the best they could. Individual training routines became essential. Teams shifted to virtual meetings to maintain communication, strategy, and morale. Strength and conditioning coaches created home or small space workouts, while nutritionists worked remotely to ensure players remained in peak condition. Still, nothing could fully replicate the intensity of live practice or game preparation. The psychological impact became apparent. Athletes used social media as an outlet, posting training updates, motivational messages, and subtle commentary about the uncertainty. Fans, in turn, began to empathize with the players' frustration, realizing that while the moratorium may have seemed like a headline to outsiders, for players it was an ongoing challenge that affected daily life and career trajectory. The financial consequences quickly became visible. Players rely on salaries, bonuses, and endorsements, many of which are tied directly to games and appearances. With activity suspended, teams scrambled to ensure contracts remained intact and players were compensated fairly during the pause. Agents negotiated tirelessly, while league administrators calculated how to minimize disruption for both players and partners. Sponsors and advertisers, meanwhile, faced empty arenas, cancelled broadcasts, and potential audience drop-off. The moratorium exposed how tightly woven the financial ecosystem of professional sports is, revealing vulnerabilities that had never been as public before. Fans were not silent. Social media exploded with reactions, some supportive of the players, others frustrated at the interruption. Debates erupted over whether the league was handling the situation responsibly or if internal conflicts had forced this extreme pause. Hashtags demanding answers, speculating on causes, and questioning timelines trended quickly. Forums and fan communities analyzed every tweet, every statement, every clip of league officials or player interviews, trying to piece together a coherent picture. In the absence of definitive information, speculation became the story itself. The broader implications were undeniable. Sponsors, partners, and media outlets began planning for long-term adjustments. The potential of a prolonged pause threatened television ratings, promotional campaigns, and audience engagement. Meanwhile, fans' emotional investment hung in the balance. A league's credibility, built over decades, can erode quickly if activity halts unexpectedly. For the WNBA, the moratorium was more than a disruption. It was a test of resilience, communication, and trust. As the weeks passed, the moratorium forced everyone to reevaluate. Players focused on self-care, mental health, and staying ready for a return. Teams improvised and experimented with new forms of training and engagement. Fans learned patience, speculation, and analysis replaced live competition, and the media worked tirelessly to keep the story alive. The pause, though frustrating, revealed the inner workings, vulnerabilities, and strength of the league in ways that games alone could never show. As the moratorium stretched into its second week, the tension surrounding the WNBA reached a fever pitch. Fans, players, and media alike were desperate for clarity, yet none came. Every new statement from league officials or the players' union was dissected word by word. Journalists speculated endlessly about what triggered the unprecedented pause. Some sources suggested internal conflicts over player safety and working conditions. Others claimed there were disputes over scheduling, contracts, or even disagreements with broadcast partners. No matter the source, the uncertainty fueled a sense of chaos, giving the impression that the league itself was teetering on the edge. Inside the league offices, executives and union representatives were in constant negotiation. Behind closed doors, hours-long meetings focused on risk mitigation, protecting players' interests, and attempting to rebuild public confidence. The stakes were high, not just for the league's credibility but for its financial stability and cultural relevance. Every decision had the potential to make headlines, attract scrutiny, and impact fan engagement. With activity frozen, the WNBA had to balance transparency with caution, releasing just enough information to reassure stakeholders without revealing sensitive negotiations. Players were caught in the middle, forced to navigate a confusing mix of emotions and logistics. They understood the necessity of pausing activity in some circumstances, but the suddenness of the moratorium left many feeling blindsided. Rookie players, in particular, struggled with disrupted schedules, missing opportunities to develop skills and establish their presence in the league. Veterans expressed frustration at losing momentum and the unpredictability of the pause. Social media became an outlet, allowing players to voice subtle complaints, motivational messages, and cryptic hints about how the moratorium was affecting their routines. Fans eagerly followed every update, interpreting posts and stories for insight into the inner workings of the league during this unprecedented period. The moratorium's impact on team operations was immediate and widespread. Coaches and staff had to restructure training programs, coordinate remote workouts, and maintain communication with players under new restrictions. Strength and conditioning programs had to be adapted for solo training, while medical and nutrition staff ensured athletes stayed healthy despite limited access to team facilities. Even tactical planning had to be modified, with virtual meetings replacing on-court strategy sessions. For teams trying to maintain cohesion and morale, the pause was a major challenge, requiring creative solutions and constant adaptation. Financial pressures mounted alongside operational disruptions. With games suspended, ticket sales vanished, broadcasts were cancelled, and sponsorship deals faced uncertainty. League officials and team owners scrambled to mitigate revenue losses while ensuring players continued to receive compensation. Agents negotiated to protect salaries, endorsements, and future opportunities, while broadcasters revised coverage plans to fill gaps left by the sudden halt. The pause exposed the complex interdependence of the league, its players, and its commercial partners, highlighting how even a short suspension could reverberate across multiple systems. Meanwhile, fans and the broader public engaged in heated debates online. Social media platforms became a whirlwind of speculation, frustration, and analysis. Some criticized the league for a perceived lack of foresight or planning, questioning how such a sudden suspension could occur without warning. Others expressed empathy for the players, acknowledging the mental and emotional toll of uncertainty, cancelled schedules, and disrupted routines. Memes, reaction videos, and opinion threads flooded platforms, reflecting the intensity of public interest and concern for the future of the league. As negotiations continued behind the scenes, some players and fans began to question how long the moratorium would last and what conditions would need to be met for activity to resume. Rumors of compromises and potential agreements circulated, but nothing was confirmed. The ongoing silence reinforced the feeling of a public funeral, as momentum, energy, and excitement, hallmarks of the league, were effectively frozen. Analysts suggested that how the league handled this pause would have long-term implications for its reputation, fan trust, and player relations. Even within media coverage, the narrative became complex. Reporters balanced the need for timely updates with the risk of spreading unverified information. Every leak, rumor, or social media post became fodder for speculation, amplifying the perception of instability. Meanwhile, sponsors and partners closely monitored developments, aware that prolonged inactivity could impact investments, brand association, and future marketing opportunities. The league's visibility remained high, but the context of that attention was now fraught with tension and uncertainty rather than excitement. In the midst of this chaos, the WNBA community was forced to confront deeper questions about resilience, communication, and leadership. Players, fans, and league officials were all navigating uncharted territory, trying to find stability in the face of an indefinite pause. What began as a simple moratorium had evolved into a larger crisis narrative, one that tested trust, strategy, and the very structure of the league. Each day that passed without clarity added pressure, making the resolution increasingly urgent and crucial for the future of women's basketball. As the moratorium dragged on, the public's reaction became increasingly intense. Fans were restless, angry, and confused, unsure whether this pause was temporary or a sign of deeper instability in the league. Social media feeds flooded with hashtags demanding answers, debates erupted over the fairness and necessity of the moratorium, and online forums became battlegrounds where speculation ran wild. Some fans expressed outrage that the league had allowed this to happen, criticizing leadership for a lack of foresight and planning. Others sympathized with the players, recognizing the need to prioritize safety and well-being but still lamenting the disruption to the season. The atmosphere was tense, almost electric, with every comment and post amplifying the uncertainty. Media coverage intensified as journalists scrambled to break the story in real time. Analysts dissected league statements and players' union comments, looking for clues about what had prompted such an unprecedented pause. Rumors about internal conflicts, disagreements over contracts, or possible safety concerns became the subject of round-the-clock coverage. Every small leak or insider hint was magnified, leading to a cascade of speculation that blurred the line between fact and conjecture. Broadcast networks dedicated segments to discussing the implications of the moratorium, while sports podcasts analyzed its potential impact on careers, sponsorships, and the league's reputation. The moratorium was no longer just a pause. It had become a full-blown media event. Inside the league offices, pressure was mounting. Executives and union leaders faced intense scrutiny from all sides. Sponsors and media partners demanded clarity and reassurances that the league would remain financially viable and culturally relevant. Teams were eager for a resolution so that schedules, ticket sales, and broadcasts could resume. The constant barrage of external pressure created a tense environment where every decision mattered. Behind closed doors, negotiations focused on timelines, safety protocols, and compensation guarantees, all while trying to maintain public confidence and manage expectations. The challenge was immense. They needed to resolve internal conflicts while controlling the narrative outside the walls. Players, meanwhile, tried to adapt as best they could. Without official games or practice, many turned to individual training regimens to maintain peak condition. Strength and conditioning coaches created home workouts, while nutritionists helped players stay in optimal health despite limited access to team facilities. Virtual meetings replaced strategy sessions, ensuring players remained connected to coaching staff and teammates. Still, the uncertainty took a mental toll. Athletes accustomed to structure and routine found themselves grappling with anxiety and frustration, compounded by the constant media speculation surrounding the moratorium. The pause tested not only their physical preparation but their resilience and focus. Fans continued to scrutinize every development. Every statement by the league or players' union was analyzed for hidden meaning. Social media platforms buzzed with conversations dissecting what the moratorium meant for the upcoming season, player safety, and the league's future. Debates raged over whether this pause could damage the WNBA's credibility or whether it would ultimately be seen as a responsible, proactive measure. Every viral clip, tweet, or leaked report further fueled speculation, making the public's attention a powerful force that shaped perception and narrative. The economic impact became increasingly evident. With games cancelled, television ratings and ticket sales stalled, while sponsors faced delays or uncertainty regarding campaigns. Teams scrambled to mitigate financial losses while ensuring player contracts were honored. Agents and advisors worked tirelessly to protect athletes' interests, while the league attempted to maintain partnerships and fan engagement despite the disruption. The moratorium highlighted the intricate financial web surrounding professional sports and how quickly instability in one area can create cascading challenges for all stakeholders. Meanwhile, some players began to speak out, cautiously and strategically, offering glimpses into the personal impact of the moratorium. Interviews revealed the emotional strain, the difficulty of staying prepared, and the frustration of uncertainty. Fans rallied behind these voices, creating an online chorus that demanded solutions while showing solidarity with the athletes. These insights humanized the pause, reminding the public that the moratorium wasn't just a headline, it was a real, tangible disruption affecting real people with careers, families, and ambitions on the line. As the days stretched into weeks, it became clear that this moratorium would define a turning point for the league. The WNBA faced a test of resilience unlike any before. Leadership, players, fans, and sponsors were all navigating unprecedented uncertainty, and the outcome of these negotiations would shape the league's trajectory for years to come. Public trust, player morale, and operational stability were all on the line, making every decision crucial. Through the chaos, one thing remained certain. The pause had forced the league, its athletes, and its fans to confront a reality far different from the fast-paced, energetic competition that normally defines women's basketball. It was a moment of reflection, tension, and high stakes, a true crossroads that would determine not just the remainder of the season, but the future of the WNBA itself. After weeks of uncertainty and endless speculation, the WNBA finally began showing signs of moving toward resolution. Inside the league offices, executives, team owners, and players' union representatives had been locked in tense negotiations for days, carefully balancing player safety, contractual obligations, and public perception. Every meeting was high stakes. One misstep could reignite controversy or deepen distrust between the league and its players. The moratorium had put the league in an unprecedented position, and leadership understood that restoring activity required careful planning, clear communication, and reassurance for every stakeholder involved. Players, who had endured the psychological toll of uncertainty, began to hear hints of a path forward. Reports suggested that safety protocols, scheduling adjustments, and compensation guarantees were being finalized to allow practices and games to resume under controlled conditions. While details were scarce, the knowledge that resolution was on the horizon provided a sense of relief. Athletes, who had been forced to improvise training routines and maintain focus without the structure of a regular schedule, now had the possibility of regaining rhythm and regaining momentum for the season. Fans, meanwhile, were watching every development with heightened intensity. Social media feeds buzzed with updates, rumors, and insider information. Every post from league officials, team representatives, or players was dissected for clues about the moratorium's end. Analysts debated the implications of each announcement, weighing potential impacts on player performance, team strategy, and fan engagement. Public sentiment remained mixed. Some celebrated the anticipated return to action, while others remained skeptical about how smoothly the league could recover from such a significant disruption. The moratorium had already left its mark on perception, and every step toward reopening was scrutinized as if the league's credibility hung in the balance. As talks progressed, internal communication became critical. Coaches worked closely with players to ensure that training regimens could ramp up safely and effectively once activity resumed. Strength and conditioning staff designed targeted programs to rebuild endurance, agility, and game readiness after weeks of limited practice. Team meetings, once virtual, began to shift toward structured planning for competitive play. Players focused on mental preparation, understanding that returning to high-level performance required both physical and psychological readiness. The moratorium had tested their resilience, and the upcoming weeks were crucial for regaining confidence and competitive edge. Sponsors and broadcasters closely monitored progress, eager to resume partnerships, promotions, and live coverage. Revenue streams, which had stalled during the pause, could begin flowing again, and the league had an opportunity to reassert stability and relevance in the public eye. For advertisers, a return to action meant renewed visibility and engagement, while for media partners, it meant the chance to capitalize on pent-up fan interest and excitement. Every decision, from announcing practice dates to scheduling games, had economic and strategic consequences, emphasizing how interconnected every aspect of the league's operations truly was. Once an official timeline was announced, the sense of anticipation grew exponentially. Fans flooded arenas, online platforms buzzed with discussion, and players returned to the court with renewed focus. The WNBA, despite the challenges posed by the moratorium, demonstrated resilience, adaptability, and commitment to its athletes. The pause had revealed vulnerabilities, sparked debate, and tested relationships, but it also showcased the league's ability to navigate crisis and emerge ready to continue its mission. By the time games resumed, the atmosphere was electric. Players returned with intensity, fans returned with passion, and media coverage celebrated the league's recovery. The moratorium, once viewed as a funeral, had transformed into a lesson in perseverance, strategy, and the power of collective action. While the pause had been unprecedented and fraught with tension, the WNBA had navigated it with care, ensuring that the league, its players, and its fans could move forward stronger, wiser, and more prepared for future challenges. In the end, the moratorium left an indelible mark on women's basketball. It was a reminder that even in professional sports, uncertainty can strike unexpectedly, and leadership, communication, and resilience are essential to weathering crises. Players, teams, and fans had endured a period of tension, speculation, and adaptation, emerging with a renewed appreciation for the league's structure, its commitment to athletes, and the power of collective patience. The WNBA had faced a test unlike any before, and it had endured. What do you think about the WNBA's moratorium and the unprecedented halt in activity? Was this pause necessary to protect players, or did it risk damaging the league's momentum and credibility? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear your perspective. If you've been following the drama from the very beginning, hit like to show your support and join the conversation. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss updates on the latest sports controversies, league decisions, and player reactions that the mainstream media often overlooks. Share this video with friends who are WNBA fans or anyone following women's basketball closely, because understanding the story behind the headlines is key to seeing the bigger picture. Stay tuned as we continue covering every move, every announcement, and every development in the WNBA, keeping you on top of this historic and dramatic moment in the league's history.